The manager is deluded. Did anyone else see the Erik ten Hag's quote after the match against Burnley after we drew 1-1? Let me just read it out for you, and then we'll dive into the positives and the negatives of that game. We are one of the most dynamic and entertaining teams in the league at this moment. We are creating loads of chances by playing good football. Okay? Remember that quote? Let me know what you think about it. What is your reaction? Get it in the comments as we go through them together. Now, usually, I did this last week. I usually do the pros and cons. I'll edit it, beforehand, and then we'll kind of put it out as like a pre-recorded video. But it's better doing it live. It's better getting interaction. It's better getting people involved in the comment section whilst I'm actually doing it. So I would actually prefer to do that. I think it's probably the best thing to do. So we're going to dive into that. Good afternoon, night, morning, whatever time it is, if you're watching internationally or if you're watching in England, welcome to the show. You'll be glad to know there's only 5 games left in the Premier League, an FA Cup final to kind of look forward to, and then we can really start the project under Ineos and what that looks like for the current crop of managers, players alike. I'm not entirely sure, but one thing for sure is we need a big change, and it's going to take a long time, especially when you watch performances like yesterday. There's so many things to discuss that I want to get into. Mainly negatives. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Mainly negatives because how can you take any positives away from when you and Burnley have a similar XG and it's very competitive and we give away silly mistakes and we have repetitive behaviour week in, week out. How can you give it how can you get any positives out of that whatsoever? So grab a coffee if you don't already have one. And let me get the first negative on the screen. I was supposed to pre-prep these, but hey-ho, here we are. As you can see there, Bosh. Champions League is gone. The Champions League is gone. Man United have now failed to win 5 of their past 6 Premier League games. Won 1, drew 4, lost 1, conceding 12 goals in total. During this period. Now, we knew it was pretty realistic given how open we've been defensively, but I just think, when I kind of reflect back on them games against Forest, against Fulham, against Brentford, against Burnley, against Chelsea, they are all winnable games. Burnley, if you look at our last 5 fixtures prior to the Burnley game, this was supposed to be our easiest fixture. And we still drew against them. Burnley could have won it. We've got Palace, then we've got Arsenal at some point, we've got Brighton, we've got Newcastle. Like, they are all far better than Burnley. So if we're playing like this at this level, with all due respect to Burnley, they are second from bottom. And it's curtains for us, isn't it? Even if you start to discuss like Europa League or whatever, it's absolute curtains. So I don't know what to expect for the rest of the season. Maybe it's best given where the squad is at in terms of if we are in the Europa League, because if we go into the Champions League, depending on what happens with the recruitment, people who we get rid of or people who we sign, I still don't think we're going to be a Champions League, or say Championship level then. Well, we are a Championship level team in reality. But I would, I think we're not a Champions League team, so it's almost pointless being in the competition right now. That sounds very defeatist and very negative, but we need more depth as well, and we need more depth. And again, if you play like that in Europe, how we have been doing, especially the latter part of the season, you're going to get mauled by teams. Imagine playing like that against Madrid with the transitions. They'd absolutely slap you. So yeah, Champions League qualification officially gone. I think the majority of people knew the writing was on the wall, but here we are. What's next? Manager is deluded. Manager is deluded. Why do I say this? I said at the start of the show, the quote, this was from Erik ten Hag's mouth directly, right? We are one of the most dynamic and entertaining teams in the league at this moment. We are creating loads of chances by playing good football. From the performance, the team did very well. Burnley are playing very high, intense football. I'm very impatient, but we need patience and fans need patience. We're building a team here and we need the experience. So that's directly from the manager's mouth, right? For me personally, there's entertainment and then there's just utter chaos and naivety going into games. There is no need again, in my humble opinion, there is no need to be as open against these kind of teams because you can control possession, get numbers behind the ball. You don't have to be as chaotic to try and get a goal because the team's scoring anyway. Be a little bit more reserved in your approach, don't be stupid. You're looking at the game at certain times, the centre-backs are higher up the pitch than the strikers are. The second half of that game yesterday, Casemiro and Maguire were further up the pitch than the rest of the team. And they're the two centre-backs now. I know in teams they rotate, for example, Man City with Stones drops into the midfield. Even in other teams, it's very fluid. You look at someone, for example, I don't know, HAG or Motta, they have a system where it's fluid. Centre mids drop into centre back, the wing backs push up. All of it's fluid, but you can't tell me that's a tactic that Ten Hag planned pre-game to have Maguire and Casemiro as the almost a target man in that sense. I remember him doing it against, was it Real Sociedad when he put Maguire up top as a 9, and Maguire and Ronaldo playing together as 2 9s, I think it was. The guy's crazy, man. He's an absolute nut job. And he said it's entertaining. It might be entertaining for a neutral, but for United fans, again, let's get a general consensus because I'm not the only United fan here, right? Are you happy watching this football, or would you like a little bit more control? Let's see what people are saying. Let's get in the comment sections. Moondog, VAR is a bigger problem than solution. No one's being held accountable for terrible decisions, and the outcome is always, oh, that's terrible. Sorry, anyways. Refs and FA needed transparency with fans. I'm going to get into VAR. I'm definitely going to get into VAR, so don't worry about that. But just whilst we're on this topic at the moment, the football, entertaining, boom, saying not happy at all. Most people I speak to, so it's like he's not reading the room, and it's after every game, when a United fan hears Ten Hag speak it actually winds you up because the reason why I use the word deluded is because it feels like he's not getting the fans and where they're at and what football we're watching at the minute. Maybe he knows he's already gone. Maybe, do the players like the style first and foremost? Do they seem confused and almost to a point? It doesn't really matter. If the manager's winning and getting results, it's the players will follow suit anyway. But when we're having these end-to-end games against the likes of Burnley and Brentford, and obviously the players are going to question it. I understand that completely. Sometimes they're out of line. Sometimes they take it to social media. But yeah, I kind of get where the head's at, and I kind of get why Casemiro looks tired to a certain extent, even though his legs are falling off. I understand it. I do understand it. So yeah. Right, moving on to the next negative, because there's quite a few. Not to be a negative Nancy or whatever the saying is. What have we got? Failing to capitalise, should I say, not failed. Failing to capitalise again. In the opening 45 minutes, United had 12 shots and created 2 big chances. This allowed Burnley, obviously, to go into the game and feel more confident and feel like they could get a result, which, again, has happened in previous games. In the second half, United continued to create chances, couldn't finish. And then we had a kind of disjointed end to the game, didn't we? Which meant, towards the end, Burnley ended up scoring and we ended up drawing the game. But again, not to be a fucking, a guy on repeat or at the risk of repeating myself all the time, which I do. It's true. We always fail to capitalise in whatever game it is, whether it's an opportunity to score, an opportunity to pass and set the fellow player up. We have wingers who are selfish. We have massive opportunities in the game. We create chaos so we can score these chances, and even still, then when the player's in front of goal, we lack the composure to finish, and it's repetitive, and I feel like I'm going round and round in circles when I analyse this team. And when I do pros and cons every week, I try find little niche angles that I can discuss rather than discussing the same shit. But it's hard when the same shit's happening every week. How can you stray away from that? Do you know what I mean? Tic Tac says Ten Hag signings have been poor, more poor signings incoming. I think some of them have been okay. Oh, no, I'm still... I'm 50-50 on. I don't know. The saves he was pulling off yesterday, fantastic, unreal. And then he comes out and does that clumsy fucking punch to give him a penalty. It's just stupid. And he is a clumsy player. He's been clumsy for the majority of the season. Mount, you can't really have a perspective on him because he's been injured. But maybe they should have done the due diligence on that in terms of, the medical staff. Again, questionable from them. Casemiro, I don't think the manager initially wanted him, and he wanted Frankie de Jong, chased them for 12 weeks, and then United was like, oh, we can get Casemiro, and he's like, right, okay. Lissandro, for the time that he's played, has looked really, really good. But, again, injuries, so you haven't seen him at all. Eriksen on a free for the first 6 months, fantastic, but obviously he's limited. He's off the ball. He's very, very limited. Who else am I missing? Anthony, again, that is a flop of a signing. There's no two ways about that. 100% as a flop. Højlund has been good in spells, but again, I think he needs to work on his game. I think there's a lot to improve on from him, but he's still very young. So, I don't know, hit and miss. But that's transfers for you in general. I'm sure if you look at the percentages of teams, unless they're a City or an Arsenal, to be fair, the majority of the transfers are pretty 50-50. So, and also the manager was almost granted power because he didn't trust the board above him. And why would you with Murta and Richard Arnold and these kind of guys? So, I don't know, it's 50-50 on that. I think one thing Ten Hag's done really well, and this is going to be the next... Well, this is a negative, but the player I'm discussing is a positive in terms of how Ten Hag has brought him up. But his finishing yesterday, oh my God, it was absolutely shocking. Let me just get it up. Is this the right one? Yeah. Let me just put that full screen so you guys can see. Garnacho's finishing. Horrendous. Past 5 games in particular, it has been absolutely horrendous. I wanna look at a couple of the games. So last night, I believe he had 3 shots off target, 2 shots blocked, 1 shot on target. He had 5 shots on target against Sheffield. And then the games before that, he's missed some really, really big chances. And this isn't me going in on Garnacho because he's been amazing. He's been one of the players of the season for us in a very destructive year. So by no means am I slating Alejandro Garnacho because I love the kid. I think he's got bags of potential, but I also think he's got room to improve, much like Højlund, like I was discussing. Considering how efficient he'd been in the first half of the season, you're probably looking at this now, the way he's performing, and you could probably put it down to the fact that he's fatigue. He started United's last 33 fixtures across all competitions, including his 3rd in 6 days. So the kid's probably knackered, and he puts a lot of work in, which you can't really say with some of the other senior players at the team. I believe he's missed multiple training issues as well through illness. So, this no doubt has, affected his ability on the pitch. And when you're performing at a high level, even if you're off by the slightest, percentage, you can see that in his game. It's just his finishing, man. Getting the rest of that coffee before it goes cold. It's just his finishing. He's nothing else really. There is something else. I want him to be more open to squaring it or back post or those clever little passes when he gets into that final third. You can see just what's goal. He's relentless. And his relentless attitude I really like. But at the same time, it's like you need to balance it out. You look at the way Man City play, and I hate always referencing these guys, but when Bernardo Silva or Foden or Doku or whoever it is gets into a certain position, and they know they can square it to a guy who's, they do it because they know they're going to win. They know the team's going to win. And sometimes I do feel like it could be a little bit selfish, but it's far from the biggest of our problems this season. I just thought it was worth mentioning. Clubs tend to put a United tax when United are interested. Of course they do. Prince says Rashford needs to go. We need to let go of our star boy. But Rashford didn't play this game. He was injured. So he's not going to be a talking point for today. He wasn't involved in the Burnley game whatsoever, so I'm not even going to discuss Marcus today. Next up, I am going to discuss a certain Brazilian midfielder who I just mentioned. And again, I mentioned a lot of the times he needs to be on the next Jurassic Park because he really is turning into a dinosaur. Is this the right one? I feel like I'm going to... Nope. I knew that'd be the wrong one. Sorry, people. Let me just get rid of that. Jesus. Not Garnacho. Put the wrong one up. Let me get this. Where's it gone? There. Usually I have these on the screen, pre-made, but I'm mad busy this morning, so I feel a little bit annoyed. But anyway, Casemiro was good until, you know what, first 85 minutes, I thought Casemiro was actually doing okay and having a good performance. Considering, again, out of position, not his thing. Next to Harry Maguire, was making some good tackles, really good on the ball, more like I referred to him as like a quarterback. But then you had a situation where he's trying to fucking head the ball back to Onana over multiple Burnley attackers instead of kind of clearing the ball up the field. Header was poor, sold the keeper short, created shitloads of problems. Wan-Bissaka then had to head clear, and then there was the whole situation where we kind of give away the penalty. But with the thing that's annoying me with Casemiro at the minute is how wild he is. Like it's like he's reckless. Well, he is reckless. It's not like he's reckless on the pitch. Like, he doesn't care if he gives it away. He doesn't care if it goes out of play. Don't care if he gives away a foul or if he gets booked or, he takes risks. And, it's bad when you're in midfield, but it's even worse when you're at centre-back because, that's the danger area of the pitch for the opposition, right? So, again, I don't know if he's another one where he knows he's going in the summer and he's in this system, he's very exposed. And he's kind of feeling, why the fuck should I give my all and play? I know he's a professional, and I know this probably isn't the case, but it's surely in his head he's thinking, I'm being exposed in this system. This isn't right for me. I'll do a job there, but he's kind of like, his head's turned a little bit, and he's like, I'm just ready to leave. I'm ready to go because this season's been mad, been utterly mad. So, and he's playing like that. That's shown in his performances. I do actually think where he's at in his career at the moment, he probably plays better at centre-back than he does in midfield. Because in midfield, he looks like a lost chicken and he looks really exposed. Whereas centre-back, like I said, he has everything in front of him. Obviously, runners in behind. When he's trying to catch up, he is slow. But his defensive awareness helps him in that sense. And in games anyway, he would usually kind of drop between the back three and the two centre-backs would split. Especially last season. So, yeah, Casemiro's on that list for me. Then we have the big one to discuss. Sorry, I didn't mean to put that on. This is the last negative that I'm going to put on. And then I'll get into the comments, yeah? Let me find it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. VAR. Look, again, I said this in the preview. Post-match review, after the game, and I was going on a bit of a rant saying, look, it doesn't matter. People can discuss VAR and referee decisions and whatever it is. We lost that game because we were shit. So let me get out there before people start saying I'm fucking calling for excuses or whatever. But I also put the 2 handballs on the screen last night. What was the difference between Wan-Bissaka's handball against Coventry and our handball yesterday? There wasn't one. So when fans, not just United fans, Arsenal fans, fucking Forest fans, obviously, with all that shit with the PGMO and Mark Clattenburg. Wolves have been done over so many times this season. So other teams have had it worse than us. But I'm sure if you go through our season, which I'm going to do at some point, with a fine-tooth comb and have a look at the decisions that have gone against us, it has been bad. Not as bad as others. I appreciate, like I said, Wolves and Forest have had it really bad. But the inconsistency of decision-making this season has been the worst it's ever been. When it's getting to a point where I'm pretty sure Swedish football have turned around and said we don't want VAR. And especially the people that are running it as well. What are the rules? Nobody fucking knows. And when you have such a level of inconsistency, that's when you have teams coming out, which I don't agree with, but you have Forest coming out questioning it, like, who is actually running this? Who are making these decisions? Because they really need to have a look at it. And also, I've always been under the notion that referees, like managers, have to come out after a game, which you can see if you're on TikTok, the manager, bald head right above me, post-match press conference, asking all these journalist questions, why he's doing this and why the team performed how they did and why individuals are slacking and what he thinks about his future. Players have to come out after a big game after they've just lost. let's say Maguire after we lost to Liverpool or whatever it was, and they're getting asked really strong questions, and they have to be accountable for their actions and what they've done in the game. Whereas referees, no, they don't get questioned, after a game. Like, why did you make that decision? How did you come to that? Did you have communication with VAR? Were they, what were they saying? They should be mic'd up, because otherwise we're just gonna have this constant confusion. We brought VAR to get rid of these issues, right? And it's almost adding to it, because certain decisions become subjective. Different referees have different level threshold for each game. Sometimes it's a red card, sometimes it's a yellow card, sometimes it's a handball, sometimes it isn't a handball. What's an offside? Are they changing the offside rule? Let's have some concrete information, and let's have referees coming out after a game and being asked questions why they've made the decision that they've made. Surely that would be better, right? I don't like how referees get away with it. They always grill players and they always grill managers and flash the cards about left, right, centre. But when it comes to them owning up or speaking up about something when they've fucked up a game, or they could have relegated a team, or a team could have won or lost out on a title because of a certain decision they've made, and they don't have to say anything. You get away with it scot-free. Embarrassing. Sylvanius Charles says we are at a sad place when the capitulation is almost predictable. I do not think the players are good enough to implement the manager's plans. We saw 30 minutes of high-intensity football with Ralph. It's a combination of issues. The manager has many flaws, but the players on the pitch need to deliver. Inability to make 5-yard passes, poor decisions, very little technical ability, poor mentality. That I do agree with. There are two sides to it, Sylvanius. 100% I agree with that. But again, the manager's always going to get it in the neck for it. Always. And it'll be like that until the end of time, until, I don't know, maybe they don't have managers in world football anymore. But yeah, Ten Hag's going to get it in the net for this. There's no two ways about it. Right. I do have a positive to discuss, if I can get it on. Anthony. How weird he's in the positive section. And again, people may come at me and he may say, he missed a couple of chances, he give away. If you look at the way Anthony's been performing this season, for his standard, and again, his standard's very low. The bar is very low with Anthony, I do agree with that. He was decent yesterday. I thought there was 3 players I thought if you're going to give him a little bit of praise, considering the performance was pretty abysmal, it would probably be Anthony, Bruno. Garnacho was okay, I suppose. Is there many more? Onana for his shot stopping. So, yeah, look, I'm getting off his back a little bit, because the majority of pros and cons I do on YouTube, he's on the negative section, and I'm pulling my hair out over shit he's doing when he's not using his right foot or putting crosses into the box. But I thought he took his goal really, really well yesterday. He started to beat his man a lot more, and that first initially started against Cucurella when we played Chelsea. He actually went past his man, and Cucurella's not slow, he's relatively quick. So we're starting to see this bit of pace now, and he's beating his man. The reason why it was so easy, I don't know why it's taking so long, to be fair with you, but the reason why it's taken, not the reason, I don't know why it's taking so long. I don't know. Don't have a clue. But it's like Michael says there, not worth 90 million quid. It's not, but the price tag at the same time isn't his fault. He didn't pay that for him. If we would have paid 20 mil for him, 20, 30 mil, would there be as much pressure on him? And I'm pretty sure the scouts mentioned him when he was available for 25 mil or 30 mil or something, and then he turned around and said no. And then they went and spent 80-odd million quid on him. So, look, he was okay yesterday. He was one of the better players. You have to give a man his flowers, when he deserves it. Is he starting to prove Ten Hag right? I don't know. Not just yet. If you look at the start of the game as well, there was a lot of people calling for Ahmad to start the game. And this has been a running thing. And I've been a part of that kind of band. I want to see Ahmad get a full 90 minutes. And Ten Hag has stuck with him too much at times, which, I admit, I think he said in the press conference, the wingers need patience. And they need trust and patience. But how long are you willing to trust them for? Rashford, we're near the end of the season now. You've trusted him for the full season, and they've done nothing. So when does that start paying off? Can he still become a good player, or is the jury still out with Anthony? I'm not entirely sure on him. I don't think I would sell him if it, even though if it came to it, I'd sell him. I would. I really, really would. I don't think he's been nowhere near good enough. I think if he went back to an Ajax or he went somewhere in Europe where there's less pressure and the price tag isn't being mentioned every 2 to 5 minutes, then I think he'd do all right. I like his work rate off the ball. I like his intensity. I like the way he's running at players now. His dribbling's relatively good, but his end product nowhere near the level that we need. You look at the output of some of the players for like Arsenal, Saka, Havertz, even Trossard. Trossard, for example, cost 30 million quid. 30 million quid, and he's 10 times the player that Anthony is. 10 times the player. And he's not even, for the majority of the time at Arsenal, he weren't even considered a starter. So this is a player who couldn't start for Arsenal. Let alone Anthony starting every single game for us. That's where we're at the minute. When you really deep it and really bring in the comparison, it's mad. It's absolutely mad. But look, I digress. We get to the conclusion of pros and cons. The season comes crumbling as we reach the end. The inevitable is going to happen. We just have to see how this shit show plays out now, unfortunately. I'm sure there'll be some weird results along the way, some weird performances. The final will be disappointing again. And I know, again, that sounds defeatist, but it's going to happen. It's just the way we are at the moment. Leave your man of the match in the comments if you can. Also, if you have any positives and negatives that I've missed or anything you want to discuss whilst I'm live right now, get it in the comment section, and I'm more than happy to do it. Because sometimes I do these pros and cons straight after the game, so I'm writing everything that I remember. I'm like, right, this was a negative, this was a negative. This was quite good, but you know, the odd time one does slip through. So have I missed anything that you want to get off your chest right now, a positive or a negative about the game against Burnley last night? Let me know, and I'll go through them. We'll just read out a couple of comments. Lucky Singh says, we need to put chances in the box. We made 10 shots on target. Yeah, we're not clinical enough whatsoever, are we? Charlie Malman says, Anthony had 8 shots where 6 was on target. Had a pass completion of 88.9%. 32 out of 36 passes. He tried to dribble past players 4 times. I managed to do it once. That's what I mean. So there is a little bit of inconsistency there, but based off his performances so far this season, it was a slight improvement. Whether that deserves to get into the positive section or not, well, it already has. So, yeah, I'm scrambling to try and find positives from the game yesterday. That's the issue with it. I'm really, really struggling. So, yeah. We had 10 shots on target, counter-attack a lot. Should have put the ball into the box, get headers in. We never do. We don't cross the ball as a team. I mean, we haven't done for a long, long time. We're not one of those teams. When you have inverted wingers like Anthony, Garnacho and Rashford, they just don't pass the ball. It's been a reoccurring issue. Anyone in TikTok who's watching currently right now, any positives or negatives I've missed? You know, you see the ones above me that are there, your VARs, your managers, your Anthony's, or anything like that. Anyone in the TikTok, did I miss a negative or positive from the game? Was there anything that was really itching your brain from yesterday? Talk to me. Why didn't Man United do this? Because they're incapable of doing it. Mount did have 100% pass completion again. He had a total of 2 passes for the 4 minutes he played. I want to see Mount for a full 90 minutes in a run of games for 5 to 10 games. It'd be nice to see, wouldn't it? But the guy's always injured. They should have done their due diligence on his medical. Or I don't know what medical he had. Maybe they just did a little lap. Sam was joking yesterday, saying maybe he just did a lap around fucking Old Trafford, and he was like, yeah, he's sound. He's good to go. But yeah, we really need Varane back. Oh my God, yeah. Along with the other 4 or 5 centre-backs that are out at the moment. I'd take fucking Kambwala back at the minute. I really, really would. But no, still no. So the players that we're currently missing, Malacia, Shaw, Lindelof, Lissandro, Evans, Varane, Kambwala. Who else are we missing? Is that it? No, Mount's only just come back, hasn't he? Yeah, it's just defensive issues, isn't it? At the minute, injuries. Am I missing anyone else? Anthony's too cocky, man. He is. That also I'd probably agree with as well. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you're saying. Although the Peno mistake, I think Onana was our man of the match. First half, some great saves. Yeah, I mentioned that before. You know, shot stopping wise, he was really good. But he's also, like I discussed with Casemiro is kind of wild and careless at times and reckless. Onana could be that as well. You know, like his personality is very laid back. He's very sure of himself and confident, and sometimes he's too laid back. The pass for Dalot, you know, he's cost us 2 games if you look at it in that sense, or almost cost us 2 games because obviously we beat Sheffield, but he put us back behind when he gave that hospital pass to Dalot, and Sheffield ended up scoring. And then we're beating Burnley, and he goes to punch and clear and gives away a penalty, and then we end up drawing that game. And then you look at his Champions League campaign as well. You know, the 2 free kicks against Galatasaray was one of the most criminal things I've ever seen, where Ziyech does it twice from a set piece. That game alone, I was like, oh God, I can't stick with this goalkeeper. Now, granted, in the Premier League, he's improved, he's got better. I can see room there where he can be, you know, really good modern goalkeeper. So, I mean, someone mentioned the other day saying he's been one of the best goalkeepers this season. I was like, don't know what you've been watching, mate. But yeah, I'm not completely sold on Onana, but yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. David Andrews says Erik ten Hag out. Again, I'm not going to argue against it. Back in the day, 6 months ago, I would have been sat there saying, give him time. You know, he's got this guy injured and he's got this. But I'm way past that now. Onana is an upgrade from De Gea. I think some people would still probably argue that. The reason why we got rid of De Gea last season was because of the mistakes that he made. Onana's made way more mistakes this season than De Gea. Way more. So... And then people say, well, he's better on the ball. Has his distribution been that good this season? Didn't he just give it Dalot in the last game? Or failed to give it Dalot and Sheffield score? So, yeah, still question marks, isn't it? Lumen says Onana is arrogant. If you can, please, just before I forget, if you can leave a like on the video for us on YouTube or TikTok, that would be absolutely amazing. We're currently on 4,841 subscribers. So we are 159 subs away from 5k goal, which we are really trying to reach before the end of the season. And that would be amazing for our second season as a channel. I think it's our second season. Or is it our third season? I'm not sure. Anyway, if you can, hit that subscribe button. I'd be really, really grateful. Whether you're on TikTok, the link is in the description. If not, absolutely no problem at all. Golders, ten Hag out, discuss. Yeah, I get it. If it happens, I get it. I'm not fully against it, but one thing I would add to that as well is if you're going to get rid of him, make sure you get rid of the fucking players as well that have been here for years. Your Rashfords, even your Shaws. I know he's been injured, but how can you have a player, how can you rely on a full season when he's available for 50% of the games? I really like Luke Shaw, he's a great player, but you need consistency and you need rhythm in a team. And that is constantly broken with the injury-prone players that we have. So, look, if you're going to get rid of the manager, get rid of your Rashfords, get rid of your Antonys, get rid of your Wan-Bissakas, get rid of your... I know Maguire's been good recently, but if you're going forward, you know, get rid of your McTominays if you want, get rid of your Sanchos. Clear out as well. Start from scratch. The analogy I would use, right, if you want to get rid of mould, you have to knock the full wall down, or it'll keep growing back. Put whatever manager you want. If he's dealing with the same players, he's going to struggle. That would be my kind of leaving point. Charlie Malman says Onana had 68.8 pass completion last night. He actually did third most passes of anyone in the game. Cass and Bruno was the only two with more. Onana did 48 passes. I get that. I'm just saying the guy was brought in for his distribution, and I have seen at times this season where he's gone for a long ball, booted it, and it's gone out multiple times. Or passing out from the back, and he's made a mistake, and they've gone and scored. Galatasaray, give it to Casemiro, got him sent off. Do you remember that? Dalot against Sheffield, give it away, they ended up scoring. It's happened a lot of times. So sometimes he's too calm. Sometimes, his decision-making needs to be a little bit better playing out from the back. Bruno Fernandes will never miss a pen. You won't have any players to make a team, though. Discuss. What? I don't know about. Who's to blame for the pen, Onana or Casemiro? Both. Both. Charlie says under 70% pass completion is not good. Manlu Tata says, do you still have trust on Sir Jim Ratcliffe? It's hard to say, and it's still in its early stages at the moment. I think the people that they are bringing in, I like. I think Dan Ashworth, very credible, fantastic appointment. Omar Barada has a very good reputation in Europe. Can speak like 5 different languages. Great from a financial perspective when he was working at Barcelona. Jason Wilcox as well. You look at the work that he's done with City's Academy. You look at players like Palmer, Oscar Bob, Phil Foden, all these guys that are flourishing at the minute. Jason Wilcox had a big say in that, and also he's worked with Omar Barada before. So they was, as much as it kills me to say, they was a pivotal part in shaping how Man City are at the minute. And obviously they're a machine, aren't they? So I think the people he's bringing in are good, but it just depends whether they work as a cohesive kind of unit, do you know what I mean, from top to bottom. And I also think they probably have a manager in mind who they want to bring in for their project, like their face of the project. It's very rare when, you look at Bowley at Chelsea, for example, when he came in, they want their own guy, usually. So I think the writing's on the wall for Eric Ten Hag, personally. So Jim Ratcliffe's been at our club for 3 months. Maybe ask that question again in 15. Yeah, I'd have a much better perspective when I've actually seen a full season at United and see how things function. So that's why this summer's going to be fascinating. We've got the Euros, of course, but we've also got the summer under Ineos. So they've got some massive, massive decisions to make. Some huge decisions. Yeah, I'll leave it at that, guys, for the pros and cons. Let me know if you enjoyed this live version, and I will start doing them more regular. If not, we can always do the kind of pre-recorded ones and the edited videos, which are a little more snappy, a little bit more kind of watchable in that sense, and you've got a lot more graphics involved as well. But yeah, let me know. Also, please do subscribe to Real Reds Talk. The link's in the description on TikTok if you want to come and check us out. And we'll be live at 7 o'clock tonight, by the way, with the lads discussing everything, which I cannot wait. I'm really excited for. We've got me, Sam, Aaron, and Adam, I think, or it might be Chivy on as well. So there's 4 of us on tonight on the panel discussing the game in depth and everything else going on around Manchester United and the future of the club as well. So do come and join us 7 o'clock tonight if you're not doing anything. Yeah. Eddie Cahill says, you speak 100 the truth, bro. You're very smart, bro. Thank you, Eddie. Appreciate that, brother. I hope United haven't ruined your weekend too much. And hopefully we'll see you guys later on for the 7 o'clock show, yeah? Take it easy, people. Enjoy the rest of your day. Let's see what happens in North London.